Welcome to the first episode of VSTML 2016 Recaps from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Armstrong, and joining me as always is the Canadian who we look right through and see his mistakes, Logan Saunders.
Good afternoon.
And the guy who is dangerous because of how untouchable he is, David Bindley.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasant surprise because obviously we're recording this before anyone knows that we're doing this season. It's going to be a pleasant surprise when people find out how much borderline fuckery we have put into the past couple of seasons of hiding clues about this season in.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait.
Ellie Clues?
I mean, obviously, I don't know whether we are actually going to do this, but there was an idea that Bindles and I had of sneaking everyone's names into the episodes. Some of them easier than others. I think we have already mentioned Ellie Loose to this point. I will almost certainly mention Double Tarker at some point. Some of them not as easy to sneak in, I would say.
No. It's going to be fun trying to work out how to hide Maya Lane in an episode.
That's a name that comes up naturally, right?
Yeah. Like we somehow worked out how to do Anamika. I can't work out how to do Maya Lane.
Yeah, you've got a few more weeks to think about it.
Yeah.
And the first question of the season, as is now traditional on Historians, goes to Bindles. Why did we pick this one?
That is a very good question.
Do you have an answer to it?
Yeah, I think everyone's expecting the answer to be, oh, it's the most recent one that we've not done, but it's not that reason that we picked it.
No, I think it sort of gets a bit of a bad rap. Like, the first episode, this episode we're talking about today, is really, really not good.
Yeah.
And then next week sort of has the thing that spoils them all. And I think sort of everyone wrote off the season by that point. But there's some really fun stuff towards the end of the season that, frankly, I just wanted to discuss. And also, Cecilia's here, so, you know.
This is a cast with a lot of bright spots. And obviously, the big albatross here is how are we going to deal with next week's episode? The answer is, we're not going to tell you just like everything else this season. We have thought of a way around it. Don't worry about that. Admin-wise, we're not going to tell Saunders who I suspected at the time. I do have my suspect list from the time. Each week he is going to get the suspect list bonus question because this was the first year of a bonus question. We will compare at the end of the season to see how he would have done at the time. I will say, obviously, I did quite well. That's one reason we're doing this season, because I can toot my own horn a little bit at the end of the season and go, I was pretty good at predicting them all. But there's a lot of fun hidden in this season that I think people forget about because it is overshadowed by that challenge at the end of episode 2.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a season sort of start out with 2 episodes this bad and then recover as well as it did.
Yeah. And I'll also say, when I was rewatching this premiere, which I haven't seen since 2016, I'd forgotten how ambitious they are with the locations. I'm used to them being like 2-3 locations now, like Vidum has done in the Rick era. This has like 6.
Yeah.
They do not stop moving in this season.
Yeah. This feels more like a Belgian season in terms of like how much they're moving around.
Yeah.
I took note of that too, where was it this year with Mexico, they had 3 locations, right, for the whole season?
Yeah.
And I was very surprised. I was thinking, oh, Santo Domingo, of course, okay. But then he lists another one, and another one, and another one. I'm thinking, whoa, that is quite ambitious for travel, considering we just came off of Vidum Mexico 2, where they only had 3 locations for the whole season.
And one of those locations, it was basically 3 challenges, 2 of them in the same place.
Yep. So this is back when they had a larger budget.
Yeah, and that location as well, that last location, is very close to where most of Celebrity Mole Yucatan filmed.
And not to mention, we've had a lot of mole seasons filmed in Mexico, let alone Vidum's already done 2 now. And in Dominican Republic, if you look at across all major competitive reality TV shows, Dominican Republic not really visited all that much. Typically, much like El Salvador, when we did the El Salvador season, it gets connected to a lot of safety issues at that time. So it's interesting to see Dominican Republic be used for, especially for a full season. It's not even being split with another country, just even with how small it is. So that's great to see. I mean, look at Amazing Race US. It's for quote unquote season 36. It's the first time they're even getting to Dominican Republic, which shows just how rarely visited it is in the whole competitive reality TV landscape.
Yeah, I think the only downside to Dominican Republic as a location for this season is that it was basically the third island season in a row because we had Sri Lanka the year before and then Hong Kong, Philippines before that. And I think by this point, well, Oregon's next season, and that's basically as far away from an island season as you can get. I think sort of a lot of people were ready for something more along those lines, so it kind of dampened the enthusiasm a little bit.
Yeah, this is the last island season for a while.
Mm.
Because you have Oregon, and then you have Georgia et al., then you have Colombia, and then you have China, and then you have Renaissance, and then you have Czechia,
And then Albania.
and then Albania,
And then South Africa.
You don't actually get another island season or another island visit, or even really a proper watery visit. You don't really get till Mexico too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not really considered an island country. And what's interesting too that I was surprised you guys chose this season because even while it was airing, because this 2016 that's when we started really talking about doing mole podcasts, where that idea started circulating back when we were in the peak of doing Amazing Race coverage. Because in 2016 we would have had 3 different franchises of Amazing Race that we were four different franchises, right? Or 3. Because we had Asia that year, Canada that year, and US, not Australia. Australia was 2014.
China Celebrity was doing that year because they did an Olympics theme season that ended in Rio.
I think Saunders means in terms of our coverage. So
Yeah.
Asia was
sorry.
back end of 2016.
I'm awake.
We had 2 American seasons and Canada that year, I think.
Yes. So I know that's what impacted us not doing mole podcasts yet at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that was already 8 years ago.
Yeah. This season is the last one that aired before I started properly badgering you about watching Vidum.
Yes, because by the end of the year, that's when I was on my first Europe trip when we watched the first episode of Vidum Japan
Yes.
at your parents' house. So kind of crazy that this is all the same year. Because I remember even as Dominican Republic was airing, as soon as that episode 2 spoiler hit, that's all I've heard about for the past 8 years and just how much it's been ragged upon. So that's why I was surprised you guys picked this season for historians.
2016 is also the year that we did the most podcasts. I think that's the one we did 75 episodes in.
Well, because there were 3 seasons of Amazing Race to cover and Hunted?
Yeah, we had 3 Amazing Races, Hunted. I think that's the year we did Apprentice as well.
Did we do Big Brother Canada? No, Big Brother Canada 3. No, that wouldn't have happened that year.
Yeah, Big Brother Canada was 2015.
Yeah, because 2013 was the first one.
I think 75 was the number for 2016, which is an insane amount, thinking that basically we don't go over 50 anymore.
Was Hell's Kitchen that year too?
Oh, Hell's Kitchen will have been sometime around then, yeah. Hell's Kitchen was kind of 2015, 2016 time. So, yeah, Hell's Kitchen might be included in that count, but...
I was thinking there's got to be something that there had to be more shows we were covering.
Yeah, I know for a fact that 2016 was the year where I pretty much had a nervous breakdown with how many episodes I was doing. It was a lot. So yeah, admin-wise, there will be no spoilers on who the mole is. Bindles and I will try and keep it as spoiler-free as possible. Logan hasn't seen it, so he can't spoil himself unless he goes Googling, which he better bloody not do.
No, I try my best not to.
I won't be revealing who I suspected at the time on the podcast, but each week, along with Logan's suspicions, we will post on social media who I suspected at the time. The big twist is also something to do with my favourite thing this season, which is the mole money. In the back of all of the mole money, if you collect enough of it, something good's bound to happen. In this case, you'll see the face of the mole.
And when did Black Exemption debut? Was that just the season before?
2017.
14.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was the
because it's already talking about in 2016.
Yeah.
It was the market in Hong Kong, Philippines. So yeah, 2014. This is the era of them forcing it into pretty much every season. They've gone off that now, finally. But
yeah,
this is very much the era of you will have a Black Exemption in the season, and bloody hell, you will collect it.
Yeah, because in next season in Oregon, they don't even find it.
No, next season in Oregon, it's hidden in the best place it's ever been hidden, And
That's
then,
the crane game, right?
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
get really pissed off that it was never collected, so shove it in the path of temptation in Georgia. So we begin somewhere in the Netherlands with Art meeting the mystery mole in a warehouse. It is allegedly their first and last meeting before the finale, and they're going to make the mole the best prepared mole ever.
Spoilers, no.
Spoilers ain't gonna happen, Art. This is digging your own grave. He introduces the location, an island full of contradictions, the Dominican Republic. I will also say, technically, Dominican Republic, not an island. It's part of Hispaniola, and therefore it's not an island on its own. They'll begin in the capital Santo Domingo, then Barney, famous for its salt fields and sand dunes, Santiago and Puerto Plata, as well as Samana and Los Hayetis.
I was surprised that given this was already 2016, so we've already had 17 years of Vidum at this point, that the first 8 minutes of the episode is just spent explaining the entire concept of the show. Because I don't even recall any season spending that much time explaining it. Even 'cause right now I'm on season 5, or not for the past few months, but season 5 of it, and I don't recall the whole concept of the show being explained in that great detail. All I can think of is that it's supposed to fit in with, oh, this is the most prepared mole ever. But I was thinking that we spent way too much of the premiere explaining the concept of the show.
Yeah.
Was this the year where they did the live event in the Netherlands and executed an 11th player? That was sometime around 2016. I can't remember exactly which year it was.
I don't remember that ever happening.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but it was. They made a big thing of having a kind of pre-season event, even though it had already filmed, with an 11th player getting executed, having done the worst on a test in the Netherlands.
Huh.
So they used a remix of that concept for the Albania season, I guess.
Yeah. I can't remember whether it was this season or not. It was definitely sometime around this season.
I would Google it, but
I think the reason it's coming to mind is because I read it on the Bothers Bar comment thread for this season when I was looking for everything. So I think it actually might be this year. But yeah, they made a big thing of Follow the Money actually coming into play with the mole's portrait being on the back of it. And we will get into my thoughts on that later. And also a big thing of the best prepared mole ever. And here we're going to eliminate someone before we even go to the location.
is this season still to this day ranked near the bottom or at the bottom of most ranked the season lists?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got a truly terrible reputation. And
Yeah.
contrast that with pretty much every other Historians season we've done for Mole. This has by far the worst reputation. This is one that I think needs a bit of rehabilitation because there's a lot of fun in there. Just you've got to kind of get through the first couple of episodes.
Because everybody knew who the mole was by the end of episode 2. So I can see if you're trying, if the reason why you watch the show is to figure out who the mole is rather than the journey to get there. Yeah, if you know who the mole is by episode 2, that really ruins the motivation to really watch or care about the rest of the season.
Yeah. I'll say this now, Saunders. When you do your finale suspicions, you need to do them before you watch the reunion. Because as soon as they go, and let's see what the Netherlands thinks.
Oh, is it like 90% or something ridiculous?
I've not seen that finale since 2016, but I have there's something in the back of my mind that says, yeah, they still do the poll, and it is like 90-odd%.
Because no one really cracks what? No one even reaches 40, really, or
No.
maybe 40 is the most you'll see.
Oh. What was Anna this year at the end?
Anna was 48, I think.
Yeah, and that was with us suspecting her every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the highest we've had in a long time. Like, even bloody Euro wasn't that high.
So the mole's job is to keep the pot as low as possible, but do it unnoticed so nobody discovers them, which is the most important part of the entire role.
So much for that.
Yeah, spoilers, thanks to a terrible production decision this season, that's not necessarily going to succeed.
It's like a reverse Euroan, where with Euroan you blame him but not production. Here you blame production but not whoever the mole is.
This is the season where production go, shit, we really fucked up here. We can never let this happen again. And in fact, when producer Rick did his whole I'm leaving after this season interview. He specifically mentioned this season as being the one where he's like, we really balls that one up.
I don't think it's a coincidence that we don't get a Meet the Mole challenge in Oregon.
No. He also introduces the twist surrounding Follow the Money, as well as Yoka's exemptions and black exemptions. And the final part of the briefing is the opponents, 9 other candidates with extensive dossiers, and the moles, of course. First person we're introduced to is Iron, who is a sore loser but likes to play cat and mouse games. Anamika is fanatic. Once you're in her sight, she won't let you go, and she's a radio DJ. Cecile is an icon and a fashion editor. She'll look right through you and see any mistakes.
Armani on the phone.
I will say now, Saunders, if you don't love Cecile Nerinx by the end of this season, you are dead inside.
Yeah. She's the closest we're ever going to get to like having Meryl Streep's character from The Devil Wears Prada on this show. And obviously we have no choice but to stand.
You're not going to Paris.
I obviously haven't picked the banner for this episode yet, but I would be shocked if Cecile does not have the record for number of banners this season. She's going to be a lot of fun.
I will say, I fell down a couple of really weird rabbit holes looking at this cast.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Ellie Lust is also an icon, as you well know, and the former spokesperson for the Amsterdam police.
Such a random person to cast for Vidum.
It is, but it works. I think I probably mentioned this during Renaissance, but Ellie is just so laser focused at everything she does and intimidating. She would scare the living bejesus out of me if I had a conversation with her, I think.
Yeah. She's the sort of cop you'd feel bad saying ACAB to.
Yes. But the fact of the matter is, you put in someone whose job up until this point, I think she'd left the police by this point, I think.
Yeah, former detective, yeah.
Her job up to this point was basically all about truth and integrity and getting right to the crux of the matter. You throw her into this game where there's a bit of moral ambiguity, and she shines. She's a really fun character. And I think I probably said this during Renaissance when we were talking about Ellie getting cast. Ellie is absolutely the person you cast from this season, but Cecile is not far behind.
Just going back to the first two, surely they could have found a clip for Anamika that actually showed her.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wrote that with these clips. You can't see Anamika and who's the other one? Tim. Anamika and Tim, you don't even get to see their faces in either clip. And Taika.
Yeah, like I get that, Anamika is a radio person and there's probably not a lot of video footage and all that sort of stuff, but they've managed to do it with Jan Willem and Jeroen and like all of those people. Like they've managed to do it before. I don't know why they're big, here's who she is sort of thing for this one is a clip of a telethon result that she's not even talking in. Like it's just a photo of her reacting to the telethon pretty much. Also, Iron, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there because I was surprised they mentioned the king in that one. Thinking, because I remember when Queen Beatrix, famous pixel person, abdicated. But I was surprised it was that early. So I went back and realized it's been 10 years since that happened already. But more importantly, I just sort of kept going down the rabbit hole, and apparently Queen Beatrix might have been the Dutch Banksy.
I think I've vaguely heard that before.
Yeah, which is apparently there's like sculptures that have popped up all over Amsterdam, sort of in the same sort of style as Banksy's sort of things popping up. And for some reason, there's like a conspiracy theory that it might be Queen Beatrix doing it.
So the final woman in the cast is Maya Lyon, who's often cast as the villain. She can play a role like no other, and she is dangerous because she's untouchable.
She's Elliot Ness?
Logan, how old do you think Maya Lane is?
Is she above or below the bleating line? I'll say below the bleat line.
She's 53.
Oh, she is the bleat line.
Yeah.
She's the bleat line. So she could go either way.
Yeah,
As if you can't tell, we're recording this the evening after we recorded that Belgian Mole episode called the Bar Francotius line.
Yeah, it's weird because she's been famous for a very long time. Because I went down, I went searching for what she'd actually done, thinking, well, she's been there for a while. It's probably not just the soap opera. Turns out she was a backing singer at Eurovision in 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll send you a video after we record, but it is not great.
Is that the year Celine Dion won?
No, that was the year after. But she, it is maybe the most 80s song you can imagine.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
It's like that woman that we used for the Amazing Race Canada podcast back in the day.
Oh God, I'd forgotten about her. We really are doing some
Really far back callbacks.
delving into the archives here, because I'd completely forgot we watched Vidum Japan in my parents' house.
Oh, really? You forgot about that?
Yeah, that was 3 houses ago at this point, I think. So we then move on to the men. Glass is a children's TV host. He may seem trustworthy, but works a few moves ahead. Remy is a harpist, solidly in that era of Vidum where they just chuck a random classical musician in there for funsies. See also Ruben.
He's a harpist, so would he be a part of the Amazing Race Canada reunion specials?
He would, yes.
Just imagine like Andre Rieu doing laser tag.
And Macarena, obviously.
Obviously.
And he may seem soft and gullible, but he's very driven.
He seems throughout this episode. One thing I noticed with Remy, he seems very uncomfortable on camera.
Yeah. I think this might have been like his first or second time on TV. Because he's more of a how do I put it? I think there's a sort of like a different thing between like TV famous and theatre famous, and I don't think they sort of cross over very much. And I think he's much more of a like theatre person.
Yeah, I think if you look at the job list in this cast, it's a lot more eclectic than normal.
Yes, I took note of that too, because I was thinking there really aren't that many actors and actresses in this cast. It's not just everybody in radio. We have a freaking field hockey player, which blows my mind.
It is the Netherlands.
I was thinking they just said hockey player in the translation. And I was thinking, where's the ice? And then it took me a second. Oh, field hockey.
It's the Netherlands. It's one of the few sports they're good at. And also, it's an Olympic year. So, yeah, this was all going to come together.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they've never had a speed skater at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the less said about cycling at the moment, given that Matthew van der Poel is dominating everything in road cycling at the moment, and he's Dutch. But this is very much the era of, here's a few sports that we're good at, we're going to just keep chucking people on from those sports.
Yeah, I was surprised that if, given it's an Olympic year, this would have been a prime year for 2016 to have a season in Brazil, but maybe there's much bigger safety concerns there compared to Dominican Republic at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, just because they filmed in literal war zone El Salvador doesn't mean they're going to venture to Brazil. There's a very good reason Mole has never been to Brazil. It's one of the countries that has the most warnings from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in the UK every single year.
It's interesting because so many tourists go to Brazil compared to a lot of these Central American countries, but yet it's always said that Brazil is the most dangerous in terms of odds of physical violence.
Yeah. I think the difference is Brazil, there tends to be a lot of attacks on tourists as well, compared to maybe your El Salvador's and your Dominican Republics, where it's mainly gang violence between the locals.
I mean, famously, an Amazing Race Brazil team got mugged at gunpoint in Brazil.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I think I made a comment about that on the Amazing Race subreddit a year or so ago, where they said, "Oh, what was the most in danger anybody was?" And I think I wrote like, "Well, I'm gonna say when the team got robbed in Amazing Race Brazil at gunpoint." And then I got downvoted because people said, "Oh, are you trying to make a joke here?" I'm like, "Well, that's the answer." I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of like tongue-in-cheek humor there, but that's the answer to the question.
Yeah, I mean, the answer basically has to be either that or Kelly and John accidentally going over the border into North Korea.
This can't be right.
Don't sleep on whatever made-up things we've come up with for any fake episodes we do as well. Like, we will go wild with this if people want us to. So the next person is Rop, who we obviously mentioned at the start of Vidum as having a podcast, and as well as being an actor, he's an anti-hero who seems naive and innocent, but there lies the danger. He can strike when nobody expects it. Double Tarka is a hockey player, a field hockey player to be precise. His real name is genuinely Taka Takuma. I will be calling him Double Tarka all season because it really makes me laugh. Defeating opponents is his second nature, and he loves to win. And the final person is Tim, who is a TV host. He loves to play puzzles and set traps, waiting for people to make mistakes, and then striking.
Bit of a questionable choice for his video clip as well.
I was thinking that's the most offensive video clip I've ever seen for a mole contestant's intro.
And now it's time to blow Saunders' mind a little bit, because these are the 10 people who will be playing, and by the end of the season, 2 of them end up in a relationship still to this day.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
This is the only Vidum season that results in not just a relationship, but a marriage with children.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you who, but
No.
Do I have to guess?
Yes, every week when you do your suspicions, you have to guess which 2 are fucking.
yeah, that's a great rule, Bindles. I was just going to get him to do it this week, but yeah.
Well, the latter is probably easier for me to guess than the former right now. Let's.
In our new feature, Who's Fucking Saunders?
All right. Well, is there a comma in that question or no comma?
Your choice.
It depends if there's a horse challenge. I don't think there is. I can't remember.
When I grow up, I'm going to Bovine University. Let's see.
So yeah, Saunders, who do you think's fucking in this cast?
Let's see. Is it a same-sex couple or heterosexual?
We are giving you no clues.
Oh, no clues. No Ellie Kloost?
We did just tell you they have kids.
Yeah, I was thinking, thinking maybe biological or adopted or...
Yeah, if it's a same-sex couple, they've been trying pretty hard.
Never know. Could be in Chen and Joy situation. Let's see.
By the way, this isn't one of those things that we're just going to leave cliffhangered at the end of the season. It does come up in the reunion.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's go Anamika and... who would be Anamika's type? I feel like I'm playing matchmaker here. Anamika, would she go for Taka? No. Oh, I can't believe somebody with the last name Takama named their kid Taka. That's just... Who does that?
Dutch Pac-Man.
Yeah, I was thinking, that's what I was thinking. Taka. This way, damn it.
My favourite thing about this whole new feature is the fact that it only has the capability for some really awkward conversations with Saunders every week. Like, there is no benefit to us doing this for Saunders.
I can't see her dating... I can't see her dating Remy. I couldn't see her getting with Remy. I just don't see him having that it factor, that indescribable quality that makes somebody a partner for Anamika. Let's go Anamika and Tim.
Interesting choice.
Mm.
So the mole also receives the contact details of old moles, and they will help. And believe me, this sentence definitely comes back to bite production.
If it's the oldest mole that the mole calls, it's just somebody bleeding on the other line.
It's 90-odd-year-old Hugo just bleating at them at this point.
I was supposed to be the most prepared mole of all time, but now I got this guy bleeding in my ear for 10 minutes. Damn it, why did I call Hugo? This was not a good idea.
You know the rules. First you're horny, then you go through menopause, then you bleed.
So the episode title is Making Someone Believe Something, and it is day 1 in Santo Domingo. Everyone is waiting for the metro with an envelope in their hands. Art meets Klaas at the first stop. He must find one musician and take them to the end of the metro line, which is Mamatingo. Anamika gets on and must find 2 people who are the same age as her, which is 36, and take them to the end of the metro line. Were you surprised that she was 36 and so close to the Afran-Corsius line?
Yeah, I did not think she was that old.
I must admit, I did a double Taka when I realised how old she was. I was very surprised. I was like, I thought she was early 30s at latest.
Yeah, I was thinking like she was like mid to late 20s, but I was thinking, what? 36? Really?
Yeah, she's only just older than Bindles.
It's going to be a whole season of that, isn't it?
Yep. Marjolein has to find 2 people in uniform and take them to the end of the line, and it seems that Anamika speaks Spanish, which is useful for this challenge. Marjolein, however, doesn't. She speaks Italian, but says Mamatingo in a very Spanish way.
Mamatingo!
I just think it's perfect that we accidentally picked a season where someone's like, I don't speak Spanish, I speak Italian. after we've just had Belgian episodes with people being like, I don't speak Italian, I speak Spanish.
Yeah. We couldn't have planned it any better.
No.
Tim has to find 4 women named Maria and take them to Mamatingo. And he says the first thing you do when landing in South America is to pick up ladies named Maria. That he can do.
And I think he follows it up by saying, if you were on the Dutch metro and you just started yelling, Peter, 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 everyone would think you're on leave from an asylum.
Question for the geography nerds amongst us. Is the Dominican Republic counted as South America?
Nope. Latin America.
No, pretty much all of the islands except, I think, Trinidad and Tobago and North America.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was in Curacao, I think it was, in December, that's just off the coast of Venezuela, and technically I wasn't in South America then. And that's way further south than the Dominican Republic is. Iron has to find 5 men with beards, and I'm sure Bindles could do that in Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know what was funny is that in the translation, it's misspelled and it says Iron must find 5 men with bears. So I was thinking, is that a typo and supposed to be beards? Or is she actually having to find people with bears?
It is, but I could also do that in Melbourne.
Rop needs to find 6 women with red nail polish, and he does not know how to say it in Spanish.
Yeah. Show me your nails! Just starts shouting in English on the metro. Show me your nails!
Remy is looking for men named Juan. And then we get the introduction to the icon that is Cecile Nerinx, who says, as her very first words, if there's anything I hate, it's a fully packed metro.
It's true.
She is, however, in her favourite TV show. She needs to find 8 men with backpacks, which she can see, but she can't speak Spanish.
And then we see a random NPC who looks like Jack Nicholson sitting on the metro.
I mean, if we've learned anything from all of the historians we've done, all Cecile needs to do is just look at people and just say Hola over and over and over and over and over again, and that works.
Whether it's a Spanish-speaking country or not. Oregon, Hola. Georgia, Hola. Japan, Hola. Double Taka then needs to find 9 beautiful women, and Ellie needs to find 10 people with a hat. And unsurprisingly, she's rather forthright with the locals.
I don't need you.
Go away.
Go away. I don't need you. You're not wearing a hat.
Anamika struggles to find anyone as old as her, and one man keeps just correcting Rop's pronunciation of Spanish, whether he needs to or not.
It's not Leviosa.
This is obviously a shit challenge. It's shit and impossible. But there are some bright spots, like the fact that essentially it's established that Art is hiding somewhere on the metro from everyone.
Although I think it is a backdoor pilot from, the Dominican version of Are You the Juan?
Really, Bindles? We're starting with that pun?
I'm sorry. It's going to be a long season, everybody.
Yeah, it really is.
And Tim somehow has unintentionally more offensive material during this challenge than his intro package.
I will shock you guys when I say, yes, obviously Ellie and Cecile are at the top of the entertainment stakes in this season. I think Tim's a solid third. I have a soft spot for Tim in this season. I've always had a soft spot for Tim. Because he's sneaky funny and actually pretty offensive and has had the shit kicked out of him in his job more than once.
Mm.
He's the proto Daniel Villan in that he's an investigative journalist as well.
Yeah.
But I think at one point Tim got punched in the face and had his nose broken when doing a sting, amongst many other things.
That did sting.
Yeah. I know he is responsible for getting the Dutch version of The Voice taken off air mid-season.
Yes, he is.
What? What happened there?
He basically did a story about Me Too stuff with the orchestra leader or something, and then the network or something heard that it was coming out, and then just tried to warn people on the crew. And then one of the judges came out and said, "Oh yeah, I've been doing it too." And then because they had so many people come out, I think somebody else said it as well. And then one of the other judges was like, "Well, if you don't do anything, I'm not coming back." And this was in the middle of the live shows. They basically just cancelled the season after 2 or 3 episodes, and then just never came back on air.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that from the guy who was rolling around in a wheelchair for kicks and giggles in the intro package.
Yeah.
He also, I'm presuming you remember this, Bindles, appeared naked on the front cover of a magazine with Jan Versteeg.
Yes, I do remember that.
I thought you might.
Yeah, it's my screensaver at the moment.
To promote the discussion of homosexuality. And according to his Wikipedia, in 2017, he was beaten and broke his jaw during the shooting of one of his shows in a confrontation with a real estate trader.
Huh.
In an attempt to mediate in a protracted conflict between a real estate trader and some of his tenants, Hofman entered the offices and fired two party poppers. When he refused to leave, a scuffle ensued between the trader and some of his associates on one side and the team of Tim's shows on the other, which then escalated, resulting in the real estate trader hitting Hofman and breaking his jaw.
Huh.
So, like I said, Tim has a very interesting history.
Meanwhile, Double Target is like, are you going to tell these women they're not beautiful? Are you going to do an art? Because I'm not going to.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about with this challenge, because beauty is very subjective, and it is delicious that they make horny field hockey player Taka go up to women and go, "You're hot, you're not."
I still can't believe that was once upon a time a reality show in the States.
Oh, please tell me you're aware of the British now institution Naked Attraction, Saunders.
Nope.
I believe it came to America in the past few months on HBO Max. It is, as the name suggests, it's a dating show where everybody is naked.
Oh, yeah, there was, yeah, the States had, but it wasn't like, the States had a similar one to that, or still
Well,
does?
it went on to HBO Max and caused quite a lot of trouble in the US. Quite a lot of articles were written about it in the back end of last year, and how it's. Won't somebody think of the children? I mean, they may see an ankle.
Yeah, because it was completely censored on TV. I remember, and I only saw like 10 minutes of it, where they went out on the date, and then what was that? So yeah, it was man and woman on the date, and then the woman says, "Oh, it feels like I'm on a date with my brother," and I'm thinking, what?
Well, I think that might be a different show, because Naked Attraction is the picker isn't naked yet, but the people who can be picked from are completely naked in opaque boxes, and then screens slowly rise to go straight up to the genitals and then keep going higher and higher, and they eliminate people as they go along.
They've come up with every concept for a dating show after all these years.
Back in my time of being a participant in local radio, I met someone who did the casting for Naked Attraction and was told, if you apply for this show, we will call you back. There are so few people applying for this that you are guaranteed a callback if you apply for Naked Attraction.
Oh, wow.
And Tim helps Rob find the red nails, and he literally ends up holding the baby as a woman helps Rob.
You gotta see the baby.
He has 4 women and a baby after only being in Santo Domingo for 10 hours. Or as we call it, doing a Logan.
What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, Bindles. And Remy settles for a Juanita, but then realizes he can only take men. Insert your own joke.
Nope.
At Mamatingo, Art checks if they've got everything they needed. Klaas's special role was to guess whether they succeeded or not. He said no, so they earn €1,000 to begin with. And Art, just like he did in Hong Kong, Philippines, gives everyone a €100 note.
And Cecile's on it.
She is. Now, this is my mole money rant for the season, I would say, at least currently, because obviously I've not rewatched the rest of the episodes of this season yet. But I don't love this twist because it requires a bit too much production meddling. Because production have to keep swapping the notes out to make the back of the mole money clue work. So it just makes it a bit too obvious for everyone involved that, oh, maybe there's something going on with the mole money and these random circles that seem to be appearing. If you're going to do a twist like this, you kind of have to let it play out naturally and see if they get lucky enough to have the portrait, I think, rather than having to go, oh, we're going to give you 10 to start, but you don't know how wide the picture is going to end up being. You don't know whether it's going to work, or the fact that all of the €100 notes probably have different backs on them, which should be inherently suspicious. It's good in theory, but it just doesn't work as a twist necessarily for me.
I have a question about this challenge. What was the point of giving Klaas somebody to find?
Yeah, I don't know that because we never really hear anything about that because it's out of 54. It's weird.
Yeah, because like I get that it's 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus whatever up to 10. So classes 1 isn't counted, but then why give him one to start with?
Yeah.
Because it was just, oh, you can participate or do this special assignment. Who was the person he had to find?
It was.
One musician.
Yeah, it was one musician.
So he could have just brought Remy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they were going to accept Cecile's toenails.
I mean, there is a bit of ambiguity on whether you consider someone who plays the harp a musician or not, but I'm not going to get into that.
I did like Art's sort of speech where he's like, "You failed because you're failures, you failures," before he goes on to the thing about the secret offer.
So what was it supposed to be if Klaus did participate in the challenge of having to find a musician?
I presume it was all or nothing.
Yeah.
All or nothing just for 1,000?
Yeah.
And one thing that always bugs me with the challenges designed like this is just I don't like it when one contestant is picked completely at random to have the special assignment.
Yeah.
That always annoys me.
We still don't know how Klaus was picked for that role or how, anyone else was picked for any of the other ones, really.
Nah, it's just sheer luck, I think.
Yeah.
The alternative is, if Klaus had participated properly, maybe they would have given out €100 to every person who succeeded. That would have also potentially worked.
That's what I was thinking too. Was it just going to be €100 per person, or was that also going to be all or nothing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought just the way to earn money with just having one person who hasn't met the other 9 yet to just guess if they were going to succeed. And then the only piece of information Art gave was, are they going to bring 54 people to the end of the metro? I was thinking this is just a really lame way to decide if a challenge succeeds or not, especially for an opening challenge.
Yeah.
The banter was great between the contestants and the locals on the metro. That was hilarious and entertaining. But to have the money value of the challenge has come down to, oh, this guy just had to make a completely random guess with no information. That's pretty lame.
It's basically a 50-50 guess at the best of times, but because you've got the mole in here somewhere, it's pretty obvious what the answer's going to be.
Yeah.
It's more of a challenge where you get to know people rather than it's actually a good challenge. But because you've just spent, 10 minutes of exposition at the start of the episode, I don't know that this was needed.
Yeah, we had the longest introduction of a host introducing the players, even before the challenge began. And then this went on for, another 15, 20 minutes of airtime?
Yeah, it's only 2 challenges in this episode, really.
Yeah, and there's a lot of travel porn filler shots.
Yeah. So they try and elect a treasurer, but Tim isn't sure who he can trust, so doesn't give his €100 over, and Tarka also keeps his. And it is then day 2, and Ellie's treasury is already up for debate, and she doesn't want it to go to Tim or Tarka because they didn't give her the money. If she's not elected to continue, she wants either Remy or Klaus to volunteer. They then head out of the city for the second assignment, and Tarka says his strategy is to eliminate people to work out who he is, like someone playing the mole.
Yeah. Hey, not everyone's playing the mole. Look at Jan.
Marjolein wants a bond. She thinks she's found someone to spar with already, but she isn't sure. The assignment takes place at the Barney Sand Dunes. They can earn up to €2,000, but also ensure that they don't go home in this episode. One by one, they will pick a name and place them on a board which represents a playing field. The further they carry the giant tapito, the more they can earn, and the less people who will have to see their screen. To earn money, they have to land the tapito exactly in a money square. And the order ends up being Anamika, Klaas, Rop, Cecile, Irene, Tim, Marjolein, Tarka, Ellie, and Remy. And they've got 10 minutes to move the tapito.
It goes about as well as you'd expect a teamwork exercise on this show to go.
Yeah, this is a pretty rubbish challenge again, I'll be honest. It's a way of doing the traditional non-elimination episode. Is it worth it? Probably not.
No.
This was just a case of, let's just get the non-elimination round out of the way early.
Yeah. I mean, the highlight of this entire challenge, as with most challenges, is Cecile's reluctance to do anything. And how she hates every second of it.
Well, Marjolein took it to another level, though, with just randomly running off with 3 minutes to go. I'm going to see where the next money slot is. I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Like, what was that? What was the strategy there? They need her to help pull the thing instead. She's just taking off.
Cecile does have my favourite confessional of the entire episode when she says she doesn't agree with keeping people safe as it gets you nowhere in the game. She is basically Olche before Olche, I think, in terms of attitude. I love it. She doesn't give a fuck about these people, and it's delicious.
I also loved her confessional where she's like, terrible game, absolutely terrible. I was out of my comfort zone. I was wearing flats.
One good thing about both challenges is that we see a lot of interaction. The first challenge was interaction of the contestants with the locals, and then this one was just interaction between the contestants having to do this ridiculously physical task. So we really get a lot of insight into the personalities, but in terms of it being worthy mold challenges or interesting mold challenges, that's definitely on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think if these were like sort of mid-season challenges in an episode with 3 challenges, I think they would have both been a lot better than they were sort of in a 2-challenge episode that's the season premiere where you're expecting something a little bit grander.
Not so much.
And they really chirp at each other where somebody says, Marline, are you going to pull for real this time? Instead of pretending to pull the torpedo? Or when they call out Klaus for not pulling, where they say, he's just pretending to pull too. And they want Marline to wrap the rope around her waist to try and pull a bit more. And yeah, Marline just running down the sand will always make me laugh.
Yeah, they make her wrap the rope around herself, and then that just basically crushes all of her ribs.
Yeah, I was getting flashbacks to what's the Jim from Survivor Guatemala, where he tries to pull the heavy boat during the first immunity challenge, but because nobody else was pulling, he ends up shattering his shoulder in the process.
Yeah,
I was expecting that to happen during this because of how many people were not helping, including Remy, who stops to tie his shoes with 1 minute to go. which for some reason I'm still trying to figure out this analogy. I'm assuming it just doesn't translate well from Dutch, but Klaus describes it as a dog that had to eat pie. I've never heard that expression in my life.
what do you think you would want to do as a mole in this challenge?
I guess just make sure that if you're on the money with 30 seconds to go or so, just encourage to keep pulling and stop making people look to see where the money line is. Pretty much, well, the mole wouldn't have to do much here since you had your most physically gifted player outright say repeatedly from the first second of the challenge, we don't care about money. Let's just make sure everyone is immune from the execution.
Yeah.
So as soon as Double Taka says that, does the mole have to do anything? Probably not.
So they've got 3 sections to do in 90 seconds to earn money. They get to the 1500 section, but keep going and earn nothing of 2,000 euros for the challenge and 1,000 euros of 3,000 for the episode. And it didn't even earn them any extra exemptions because they weren't entirely in the square. They will, however, only see 3 screens.
Even art bitches that like they clearly didn't have time to get another one, so why would you fucking bother, you idiots?
Yeah.
That's pretty much, yeah, he was roasting them pretty good.
Yeah. He's in a weird mood this season.
Also, $3,000 is a very low maximum for a premiere.
Yeah. Considering that the Path of Temptation in El Salvador was 10,000 on its own.
Yeah. Even by Vidum standards, this is a very low maximum for a premiere. Ellie then wants to talk about the treasury. They all want a treasurer, but not necessarily Ellie as treasurer. Tim didn't want to do it, but he also didn't want Ellie to get it just by default. And Klaas ends up bumbling his way into getting a majority and is now treasurer. And Tim threatens to shit in his bed if he even loses a cent.
In Godfather, it just would have been a horse's head, but yeah, Tim takes it to a whole other level. I'm not surprised that his nose has been shattered before.
Yeah. We're not in Sicily anymore, Saunders.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, like when I was watching The Godfather for the first time a couple of years ago, and there's the horse's head scene, I'm thinking, why is the guy screaming? You know, he should be happy about it. I don't understand what's so terrifying about it.
Why isn't he screaming?
I assume he was screaming out of joy.
So Art says that despite the efforts of Iron and Marjolein, they failed to find men with beards, beautiful women, or people in uniform. But thanks to Klaas's low expectations, they earned 1,000 euros. Only 3 of them will have to see their screens, but even those could be red.
I'm glad that with the whole beautiful women task at the Metro, that when being brought forth, Art said, no, you got 3 or 4 uggos in here, disqualified.
Christ on a bike, Taka, you need some glasses, man.
Yeah. Are you blind?
You're not going to be fucking anyone.
I heard Love is Blind, but Jesus Christ, you're taking it to a whole new extreme. So it's now time for the test. 20 questions about the identity and actions of the mole. Whoever knows least will go home, maybe, except for the mole who can never go home. Anamika says her tactic is to spread, and spread some more. I knew that one would make you laugh.
Because you guys told me to avoid certain timestamps for the episode. So when I was jumping to where the quiz was, that's the first thing I freeze frame I saw was I spread some more. And I was thinking, just my luck.
Yeah. She's going for 4 people and hoping one is right. Klaas suspected Anamika for failing an easy task on the Metro, but he's also keeping an eye on Iron. Klaas was described as a disorientated man with a normal posture by Ellie, but Iron thinks he's confused, so uneasy and nervous, and he is on her list. Cecile says it's Russian roulette. If you think you know who it is, you're first to go. It's a blind pick right now. Cecile is a mystery to Tim. He finds it interesting that she's the one on the €100 note, and wearing green, which is the colour of the giant Topito and the note. Remy has tunnel vision already. He's fully on Tim. He did well in the Metro, which is ideal for the mole to do some damage later down the line. Ellie thinks Rop is the mole. He wasn't tired after the Topito assignment, so obviously he didn't put much effort in. Rop is spreading over 4 people, which is Iron, Klaas, Cecile, and Taka. Taka thinks it could be Marjolein. She let them go just too far not to win any money in the sand dunes. And Marjolein suspects Rop, as he's chaotic, but organised in his book, which doesn't marry up.
Can I just say, for like a detective, it's kind of hilarious that Ellie's entire logic behind picking Rop as her main suspect is basically, he fat, lol.
Coincidentally, also what the nurse said to me at the doctor's this afternoon. More on that in off-air stories next week. Also, in a bit of a weird thing, they all take their luggage to the first execution.
Which is on a pier.
Yeah, it's a weird visual. And Art says the prospect of being the first to go is a nightmare to everyone he's spoken to. He shakes up 2 cards, green and red, to decide which group is safe, and it is red, meaning only Anamika, Klaas, and Rop will see their screens. However, all 3 of them do get green screens, meaning everyone's through to episode 2, and someone else in the other 7 dodged a bullet.
What a weird way to determine which 3 screens would pop up. Just throw 2 sticks in a box, shake the box, and grab a stick.
Got my sticks in a box.
Yeah. Sticks in a box. Yeah, and I was thinking, well, that makes it a very forgettable attempt at a non-elimination round.
Yeah.
Sticks in a box. Who knew?
So next time, everyone gets salty in a hellish task. Ellie institutes some Meta discipline, dancers must be memorized, and some old friends return at a monastery.
Old friends, or just like people they've known for a while?
All of that, of course, is new to Saunders because we didn't let him watch the Next Time preview.
No. You can't even watch the credits this season because
Nope.
there's a shot of an old mole in there.
Yeah, it's interesting. We are having to work around these limitations until Saunders catches up.
Yeah.
So, final questions. Who do you suspect, Saunders? And, suspect list question, is the mole male or female?
Let's see. So my suspect list: Irene, Klaas, Tim, Marjolein, Cecile, Remy, Romp, Double Taka, Anamike, and Ellie Luce. For some reason, I just don't think she'll be the mole.
Interesting.
And let's go with the mole being male.
Even though you said Iron first.
Yes, so
Okay.
I'm covering my bases.
Okay.
I'll also warn you, next week's suspect list question is about the family photo. So we do need to make sure he actually sees the family photo.
Okay.
But yeah, It's about the family photo next week, so pay attention to who's where. Because I might forget to write down who's in what position. So you might be on your own to work it out. Anything else you want to say?
No, gone.
No?
No?
Nobody
Okay.
gone. Not yet.
No.
Someone will be gone next week, though. Don't worry about that.
And every week to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because this is the era where they keep doing non-eliminations just for the hell of it.
Yeah, there's no more non-eliminations, is there, this season, I don't think.
Nope.
So no BS additional non-elimination followed by a double elimination?
Nope. I don't think they ever do a double elimination until Colombia.
No. No, because that's why it was so controversial in Colombia.
Australia, Indonesia, but they sort of explain that at the start of the season.
Yeah. So, in that case, thank you for listening to our Vista Mole 2016 recap. We'll be back next week to continue the hunt for an old mole in the Dominican Republic. Don't forget you can contact us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, where we are RTV Warriors, or you can email us and contact at rtvwarriors.com. Logan's on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Logan Bindles is a grim recapper, and I'm MJ Harmstone. You can also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/rtvwarriors. Thank you, as always, to Marika for the subtitles, and we will see you next week.
Peace out and just chill till the next flavoring.
Whoop, whoop, it's the sound of Ali Loosed.